Welcome to Global Journeys with Jill Dutton, the captivating travel podcast that takes you on an extraordinary adventure around the world. I'm your host, Jill Dutton, and I am thrilled to be your guide through the mesmerizing tapestry of cultures, landscapes, and experiences that await us. Global Journeys with Jill Dutton is more than just a travel podcast. It's an exploration of humanity itself. Through the power of storytelling, we illuminate the lives of the remarkable individuals we encounter along the way. Whether it's through the eyes of a fishing guide, a distillery owner, a mixologist, a historian, chef, or even a farmer, each person we meet adds a rich layer to the narrative of culture and place. In this podcast, we embark on a transformative journey where the focus goes beyond the typical tourist attractions. Instead, we dive deep into the hearts and souls of the places we visit, uncovering the hidden gems and untold stories that make each destination truly unique. Join me as we venture off the beaten path, seeking authenticity, connection, and a deeper understanding of the world we inhabit. Together, we'll unravel the tapestry of cultures, one story at a time. Although my writing career began in the late 90s when I created and launched a wellness publication called Evolving magazine, since 2015 I've worked as a travel writer on a mission to seek out the locally celebrated foods, liquor trends, outdoor activities, and stories of those I meet along the way. My work has been published in Wine Enthusiast, Afar, Woman's World, First for Women, Insider, Road Trippers, Modern Farmer, Chilled Magazine, and many more digital and print publications. I'm also the creator of Global Plates, The People We Meet, The Food They Eat, a syndicated column. Creating this podcast is the next step in my journey of sharing the stories of the people I've met along the way. So pack your curiosity, leave your preconceived notions behind, and let's embark on Global Journeys with Jill Dutton, where each episode promises to inspire, educate, and awaken the wanderlust within us all. In this episode of Global Journeys with Jill Dutton, we take you to the heart of the Lone Star State, Mineral Wells, the wellness capital of Texas. Join us as we dive into the history, culture, and secrets behind this enchanting city's wellness legacy. Discover the legend of Crazy Water and its mystical healing properties that have drawn visitors from far and wide for generations. You'll hear tales of famous figures like President Roosevelt, who sought rejuvenation in mineral wells' therapeutic embrace. Today we sit down with local expert Rose Jordan to unveil the city's unique wellness experiences, spa havens, and the incredible transformation stories of travelers who found healing and rejuvenation in mineral wells' embrace. Whether you're a wellness aficionado or an adventurous traveler seeking a rejuvenating escape, this episode is your ultimate guide to unlocking the hidden treasures of mineral wells, where wellness is more than just a buzzword, it's a way of life. During my visit to Mineral Wells, I attended the Crazy Wellness Retreat. There, we stayed at the Crazy Water Hotel, sipped crazy water at every opportunity, ate health-focused foods, started each day with rooftop yoga, experienced health and wellness checkups, took classes at the Clark Botanical Gardens, and relaxed each night with glorious sound healing using crystal singing bowls. It was truly a rejuvenating experience. If you'd like to read more about my trip, there's a link in the show notes, or you can visit evolvingmagazine.com to read the story there. Today we speak with Rose Jordan, the Director of Tourism for Mineral Wells. Rose is an ambidextrous ambivert whose favorite part of high school was cutting loose in costume as the mascot at Grafford High School, which really just means she's perfectly suited for the tourism industry. After serving on the Mineral Wells Tourism and Hospitality Council for 3 years, she was offered a position to get paid for doing what she loved, talking about all the things that make Mineral Wells awesome. With nearly 5 years as the Director of Tourism and Marketing, she can't imagine doing anything else, anywhere else. Fun fact, Rose and her husband are park hosts at Lake Mineral Wells State Park, so she is quite possibly the only Director of Tourism living inside one of her attractions. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Rose Jordan to Global Journeys with Jill Dutton. Rose, thank you for joining us today and sharing your insider's look at Mineral Wells, Texas. We can't wait to embark on this incredible journey with you. Rose, thank you again for joining me. First, I'm going to ask some quick questions that you can respond to briefly. The questions are designed to give the listener a quick overview of the destination, so don't go over maybe a couple sentences. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, other than wellness, which we'll discuss shortly, what is Mineral Wells known for?
So two things. One is our crazy water, which we're really famous for, and the other is outdoor adventure. In fact, we won a statewide award as best destination for outdoor adventures in Texas.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wonderful. And on your day off, or if it was even if it was a visitor coming to Mineral Wells, what do you consider a perfect day?
For me, I love being outside. So a day for me is, a few hours out on my kayak or maybe hiking out at the state park or just kind of strolling around Clark Gardens.
Excellent, excellent. Yes. Okay, and your favorite restaurant?
So I'm the director of tourism here. I'm not allowed to have a favorite, but my first choice is always going to be one of the restaurants that are partnering with our community garden and our local farmers to source their local produce and meat.
Oh,
So we have a
yes.
few. Yeah.
Yes. And can you name a couple?
Yeah, Brazos Market and Bistro, Old School Pizza is doing that. Our new, soon to be here in a couple of months, the restaurant in the new hotel, the Crazy Water Hotel,
Oh,
they
okay.
will be doing a lot of local sourcing too. So yeah,
Oh, that's great. That's great to know. And
yeah.
what is it that surprises you most about Mineral Wells?
I am constantly amazed at how the businesses and the organizations here, they're always actively looking for ways to collaborate and support each other. So in Mineral Wells, everybody's working for the good of the whole community rather than just for their own business. And I love that.
That is nice. That's very encouraging to hear. And
Yeah.
are there any hidden gems or lesser known spots that travelers should explore?
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss like Clark Gardens Botanical Park or Texas Frontier Trails. They're really fabulous spots to enjoy the outdoors in peace and quiet, but they get missed a lot because they're tucked away off the main roads, which is actually why they're so peaceful.
Oh, yes. And I hope we go into more detail about Clark Botanical Gardens because
Yes.
there's so much to offer there. Um,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
okay. And then if someone's wanting to visit Mineral Wells, how do they normally get there if they're not in a drive, if they're not just a couple hour drive away?
Yeah. So if you're flying in commercial, you're going to fly to DFW Airport out in Fort Worth or Dallas Love Field. If you're flying yourself or you're chartering a flight, you can actually fly into our airport, Mineral Wells Regional Airport. But
Oh,
if you're driving, you're going to take Interstate 20 and then exit 386, which is for State Highway 281, will
mhm.
take you straight in. It's 14 miles into the true crossroads of America, which is at the intersection of Highway 281 and Highway 180.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that's great. Thank you. And your best tip for someone visiting?
Always start at the famous water and stock up on crazy water, especially if you're going to be here for outdoor adventure.
Mhm.
Make sure you're plenty hydrated, and then yeah, start at famous water and just make sure you've got plenty of water.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Well, thank you for the quick look at Mineral Wells.
Yeah.
Now let's dive into your city's new designation as the wellness capital of Texas. This
All
is
right.
this is huge, and what led to this distinct honor. I'm going to start with the crazy water. There's a lot of talk
Okay.
about crazy this and crazy that, and many may wonder why a town that's focused on wellness would call everything crazy. What is the story behind that?
Our water, we are founded on our water. It's mineral rich water that occurs naturally. And when the first family came, the Lynch family came in from northern Texas and Denison, they settled here. And when they dug the water, as you do when you're a settler and you're locating to a new place,
And that was
and when
the
they
late
first dug the water,
1800s, late
yeah, in
18.
the
Yeah.
1800s, late
Okay.
1877 is actually when they came to Mineral Wells.
Okay.
And so we'll talk a little bit more about that story, but moving forward just a little bit to the crazy water story. At that time, there were several wells here in town, and one of them, a woman who people in town thought to be crazy, would spend her days at this one particular well drinking the water. And after a period of time, she became less crazy. Now, today we think probably it was something along the lines of dementia,
Mm.
because the water here's got some minerals to help kind of rebalance some of the brain chemistry type stuff. But because the crazy woman was hanging out at that well, they started calling it Crazy Woman's Well.
Oh.
Later, it was shortened to later it was called the Crazy Water Well, and that is now where the Crazy Water Hotel is. And so it's just called the Crazy Well or the Crazy Water Well. And so from that, everybody started branding Crazy Water Drug, Crazy Water Crystals, Crazy Water Bathhouse, Crazy Water
Oh.
Hotel. So when you see crazy here, it's not because we're all crazy, though we are crazy about our town. It's because our water was found to have healed people back in the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm. And that leads to, I kind of stepped ahead a bit there, but so if we could backtrack, could you give us a historical perspective then, as
Yeah.
far as what it is, how the wells were discovered, and what's the significance to the city's wellness culture now?
Yeah. So back to Judge Lynch, or James Alvis Lynch, and we call him here Judge Lynch. His family came in from Denison, like I said a moment ago, and when they settled here, the first time they pulled water, they noticed that it had like a funny smell and a little bit of a funny taste. And so they decided to try it on their cattle. And when their cattle didn't get sick, the family started drinking it, and they discovered that their ailments, they had like rheumatism, digestive issues and things, they discovered that their ailments were alleviated. And so very quickly, word got out, people started coming in droves for the healing water. So it's actually the origin even of our wellness culture here is our mineral water.
That is so interesting. And it just blows my mind thinking about it. And so I think I read something about President Roosevelt coming for the waters. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so we had several historic, lots of famous people were coming here, famous entertainers, Roosevelt, we had Judy Garland here, just lots of people were coming, and they were really just kind of flocking here, some out of curiosity, but a lot of them because of, the healing waters. And when you think about it, traveling back then was not as easy as it is today. They were coming in from all over the country, and they weren't just flying in, or they
Right.
weren't just, when they came, they were making a commitment. They were really like having to plan out this trip. And back then, you'll see a lot of the old postcards that have gone back and forth where we've gone to mineral wells for a season. So they would come for weeks at a time, usually,
Oh.
to quote, take the waters. So yeah.
And what would a visit back then encompass? Would it be like going to a bathhouse and soaking,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, so back then we would have had today where people, often will go to the bar and drink beer. In those days, we had dozens of wells, and we had several water pavilions, is what we called them, and many, many hotels. So
Mhm.
when you came to mineral wells to quote take the waters, you would spend time at the pavilions, and each pavilion had its own specialty. Like one might be shuffleboard, and one might be dancing, and one might be playing cards, but all of them had a water bar. And so you would really kind of pay the equivalent then for water what most people would pay for alcohol. So it was
Mhm.
that much in demand. So you might spend some time at one of the pavilions or many of the pavilions. You would very likely go to one of the bathhouses and soak in the waters. And then obviously we have so much nature here. And one of the really popular things to do back then, kind of the Instagram moment of the late 1800s and early 1900s, was to hop on our donkeys and ride them up the mountain and get pictures. So really, if you didn't
Oh.
have a picture of your group on a donkey in our mountains, you can't say you were here. So
That's,
we laugh now, but we're doing the same thing on Instagram.
oh, I
So
know.
yeah, I mean, that would have been a day. So a lot of time out in nature, and then a lot of time drinking or soaking in the waters.
That is fantastic. That is so interesting.
Yeah.
And the different levels, can you just kind of fill us in about the strength? I know,
Yeah.
is it 1 through 4?
One
And
through four, yeah. And so that's based on the amount of minerals. So number one has trace minerals. Number two has kind of a low mineral content. And then three, obviously, you start to get a little bit higher. Three is really where you start to notice the difference in the taste of the water. And then number four is is high in mineral content. And I always tell people, if you're trying our crazy water for the first time, don't start with number 4, because number 4 is the one that is so famous for healing people, but it's also famous for cleaning you out. So
Yes.
I always think if you're going to taste the number 4 for the first time, do it when you can stay close to home.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah, so the different well depths have a different mineral content,
mineral
a
content.
different level of mineral content. And that's what the numbers are based on, is the strength of mineral content.
Oh, that's so fascinating. And what do you personally do? Do you personally drink,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
throughout,
In
but I
fact,
mean,
I'm sipping on number 2 right now. Here at the office, we keep a number 3 in a water dispenser. So that's what I drink the most. My favorite is number 4 if it's cold. I'm not a fan of it when it's warm. It's because that's when you really start to pick up on
the minerals.
the extra mineral content. But when it's cold, my favorite is number 4.
I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
during my visit, I as you know, I came to one of the crazy
Yeah.
wellness retreats, and I believe we had it. We had an oat milk with
Oh,
turmeric, and
yes. Yeah.
and I thought that had some crazy water in it as well.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
But then always had a bottle of it in our hands, or
Uh-huh.
a glass in my for our coffee. I mean, it was delightful, and I slept the
Yeah.
best. I kid you not, and I wrote it in that article that I'm going to put a link
Oh, yeah.
in the notes too. But I slept the best that I have on any
Oh,
trip.
it's pretty great.
It,
Yeah,
it
and
is.
that retreat that you came to, if you remember, they did those kind of sodas where we mixed balsamic vinegars with the water. That was the first
Yes.
time I did that. Man, that was so good. Like
Oh,
that was a takeaway for me.
it was so good, but it was
Yeah,
great to just every experience included that.
yeah,
So I loved it. Okay,
yeah,
so let's go ahead and talk about this designation as the wellness capital of Texas. It's really it's a huge accomplishment
yeah.
and a great honor. So I'm curious how did this come about?
It actually, a couple of years, well, I say a couple of years ago, COVID has kind of changed my concept of time, but I think it was either when I was starting to look at the end of 2019 or the end of 2020, and I was really thinking about what would be the key thing that I was going to market for as a destination in the coming year. And when you market a destination, you have to find the one thing that sets you apart.
Mm-hmm.
And most people know us for outdoor adventure. They'll know us for the Baker Hotel. You can't go to the Baker Hotel right now. And all of our neighboring cities have really great outdoor opportunities. So that didn't really set us apart by itself. When I really looked at our historical assets, and that was about the time that kind of early on in our town's just massive transformation. And so I knew then the things that were in tap and that were coming, and a lot of that was wellness focused. It seemed like that was about the right time to start shifting us back towards that wellness destination marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And after a couple of assessments, tourism assessments, one of them by the Wellness Tourism Association, and we all agreed, yeah, this is the right time to make that shift. Of course, COVID just helped that, because COVID compelled everybody to get outside, get out in the outdoors, and to really start to focus on your health and your
Mm-hmm.
wellness. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were already starting to make that shift. And then COVID just kind of honestly helped us out a little bit. And so as a part of that process, we were really looking at our wellness assets, what we had in place, what we had coming. And our Main Street manager was in a tourism council meeting with us one time, and she said, well, why don't we go after that designation with the state? I'm like, okay. So I reached out to our state representative, and they didn't hesitate. So we spent a lot of time with me sending them information on kind of validating those claims. And then in June, as you know, of this year, it was made official. We're the wellness capital of Texas.
Yes. Well, congratulations. They're well
Yeah, thank
deserved.
you. It's exciting.
Well deserved. And so, what are some, I know we discussed back in the 1800s and early 1900s what people experienced, but what are some of the unique wellness experiences or treatments that visitors today can enjoy at mineral wells?
Yeah, so actually several. You can still soak in our mineral waters. Right now, the only place is at the Crazy Water Bath House and Spa, which I think you had an opportunity
I
to
did.
try out.
It was
Yeah,
fantastic. And that's why I say I'm really not
right.
sure exactly what helped me sleep so well, whether it was
Yeah.
the singing bowls in the evening, but I know
Oh,
the
yeah.
water and the minerals, and then soaking in the minerals and seeing it in
Yeah.
water, and then having that dry rub scrub. I mean, it was a really
Yeah.
powerful bathing experience.
Yeah, it is. And so you can do that. We do have more bathhouses coming. One at the Crazy Water Hotel. They're
Mhm.
actually restoring the original bathhouses down in the basement with some modern amenities. Then when the Baker Hotel is ready, she also is bringing back those opportunities to soak in and bathe in the waters. Currently, right now, you can also enjoy, yoga on the rooftop at the Crazy Water Hotel, which is great because it's out in the open air, but it's up above the city, so you can look really great views of downtown and, of course, the Baker Hotel.
Mhm.
We have 3 labyrinths here that you can go walk if you
Oh.
just yeah, we do. So I don't know if we ever got to take you guys out there for the retreat, but there's one at Clark Gardens. It's a healing
Mhm.
labyrinth, and then there are 2 at the National Vietnam War Museum. They have 6 meditation gardens and 2 labyrinths there. So we've got labyrinths. We actually have fairly new someone here who does scalar photon energy treatments, and don't ask you to explain that because I don't fully understand it yet, but it has been really popular. I know people that are going through cancer and they're choosing holistic treatments, and that's one of the things that they're doing for their cancer. And then obviously we've mentioned it many times, the Crazy Wellness Retreat, which is an immersion retreat that's focused on wellness for real people. So you'll leave with lots of ideas and knowledge that you can actually take and implement as soon as you get home. So that's what we really love about our wellness retreat is we want you to have the time away, but we want more than that for you to take the transformative information and take that home and actually be able to use it in your life. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's so valuable. Okay, and nature is a part of the pillar of wellness, and I'm curious, what are some of the options? We talked about Clark Botanical Gardens, and then you just mentioned the labyrinths and things, but Mineral Wells is the area is known for outdoor opportunities. So,
Right.
what are some highlights, I guess, of things that people could do?
So yeah, so we've got 3 state parks here within 30 minutes. We have 4 lakes, and so with those come, hiking and biking and camping and birding and paddling and stargazing. We have the Brazos River, same thing, really great opportunities. And we actually have people that will shuttle you, so you drop your car off and then drive up so that you get to choose a 1, 2, or 4-day trip, and then you'll kayak down and then they'll shuttle you back to your vehicle. So that's a great one. And then we've got more than 30 miles of hiking and biking trails, and they're out in the peace and quiet, whether it's inside our state parks or just kind of in some more remote areas. Again, that's one of those hidden gems, the Texas Frontier Trails that I told you about. And then we've got the only natural rock climbing in North Texas, so out at
Oh,
our Lake Mineral State Park. So here, Mineral Wells truly abounds. It is
say
it
the
is a
name
great
again of
place to be
where they
out.
can go rock climbing. What's the name of the park
Rock
again?
climbing at Lake Mineral State Park, and the
Okay.
specific area is called Penitentiary Hollow.
Oh, that's great. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
So we'd already mentioned, but I attended one of the crazy wellness retreats, and I'm curious, how these came about, what other guests can expect, and is it an ongoing theme each year, or do you have four?
Yeah.
I believe you have 4 a year. So if you could talk about those retreats a little bit.
Yeah, so Carol Elder, who owns Famous Water and Crazy Water House, and she and Dustin Strong, who has Strong on Health, which is the primary speaker at our retreats. They've been working together actually for more than 10 years, and they were offering like quarterly wellness workshops here in town before COVID, but they'd always wanted to be able to create an immersive experience that really gave people the time and the space to actually implement what they learned in those workshops.
Mm-hmm.
So last year, Carol told me and a few others here in town that she was really thinking about starting some wellness retreats, and we very quickly hopped on and said, absolutely, we want to be a part of that. How do we help? And so the 5 of us, along with Dustin, started planning those retreats. And so now it's actually a collaboration between Crazy Water, Strong on Health, the Mineral Wells Tourism Department, our local hospital, Lake Mineral State Park, and Clark Gardens. So you're really getting just the best of the community in these. And so the retreats offer a weekend that's filled with workshops, lots of time out in nature, as long as the weather behaves itself, amazing cuisine, and then time to connect with others, and even more so time to really unpack, the wealth of information from all of the amazing wellness experts and decide how you want to use that information for real and lasting change in your own life. And so when we started those, we did start them quarterly. Another goal for those retreats was to kind of create the framework. So identifying all the assets that we had, and then kind of help develop, well, really just a framework so that if other people want to come in and do retreats, we can say, here are the best tools. Like, here's everything that we think you might want to know, or everything that we think would help you in planning your retreat. So when we started those, we did start them quarterly to kind of get things started and get a feel for, what was needed, and even what the demand was for the weekend, the retreats. And then with the March retreat, we started really looking at, with those being quarterly, we found that by the time you have done the March retreat, you really should already have June completely figured out, and you should be working on the November one. And we're all volunteers with full-time other things. And so we felt like we weren't able to give it the excellence that we wanted to, but we accomplished the goal of building the framework. And so now they won't be quarterly. Now what we're looking at is probably either annually or biannually. Our next one is in January, and it's focused on nutrition.
Nutrition. Oh, that'll be a good topic. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of events, are there any annual wellness events or festivals that travelers should consider attending, a specific time of year?
Yeah, so we've already talked about the Crazy Wellness Retreats, and if you want to keep up with that, when the next ones are, crazywellnessretreat.com for that.
Oh, good.
The others we just did in June in conjunction with Global Wellness Day. We had Crazy Wellness Day, which is a day full of just really great workshops. We had things from making zero-proof cocktails to using holopots for your planting, to general gardening and using mushrooms in your wellness regimen. Just really great day full of workshops. So we'll continue to do that. That's always in June in conjunction with Global Wellness Day. We have coming up September 15th through 17th is World Wellness Weekend. And we are not going to be left out of that. So we are in the midst now of planning out what that's going to look like. 3 days full of just wellness opportunities throughout the community, whether it's yoga on the rooftop or guided walks through the labyrinths, or workshops again on zero proof or other kind of nutrition. But we're planning a full 3 days of activities and events that are wellness related for a wellness weekend. And then the Crazy Water Festival, which this is our 43rd year of the Crazy Water Festival. And this year we're going to actually add some wellness components to it. So we'll have workshops and things going on at the Crazy Water Hotel for wellness. There's a crazy 5K every year for that. And so leading up to that, we're going to do a Couch to 5K program for people that want to run that, or people that just want to do the program. So Crazy Water Festival, now we'll start to add that. And then the logo that we created for Wellness Capital of Texas, the symbol is a dandelion, for lots of reasons. But then we discovered that in April, there is a National Dandelion Day. So at this moment, we don't know what we're going to do, but we will for sure be doing something with National Dandelion Day, because that's the logo that we chose for Wellness Capital of Texas.
Yes. Oh, that is great. Food is linked to wellness, and the local cuisine, it plays a significant role in the overall travel experience, obviously. But when I was there, Dustin Strong, who led the Crazy Wellness Retreat, had incorporated a lot of different mushrooms into so I think it was lion's mane. We had
Yes.
that crab cake that Sadie's Eats made. It was divine.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of curious, are there any foods or dishes with that wellness theme that are going on that connect that with the city?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we've talked about crazy water. You can't walk 5 feet in
Right.
town without seeing crazy water somewhere because everybody's carrying it. We have Gilbert pecan. I can't remember if it was your retreat or the first one that we gave everybody a package of local pecans, and so those are a local orchard. So we really do a lot with those. At Crazy Water, at their famous water pavilion, they have sprouted nuts where they're taking different nuts and they're sprouting them in crazy water, and then they're adding things like turmeric or sea salts or those kinds of things. So those are a big thing here. You mentioned the mushrooms. We have a local grower who does the mushrooms, Dryad Grove, and they are every month at our local farmers market, which is great because people are really starting to love like the lion's mane gummies, or they've got
Oh,
several different mushrooms that you can either get them in supplement form or you can actually buy the mushrooms to cook yourself at our farmers market, and we love that.
oh, I
And then kind
bet.
of speaking of our, yeah, exactly. And then, kind of speaking of our farmers market, I mentioned earlier, we have more and more restaurants now which are starting to source from local farmers that are growing organically. So that means that in our restaurants here, the quality and freshness of the food is higher, but also you're getting more of the benefit, the nutritional benefits, because they're not having to put preservatives on them and they're not traveling very far. So the closer you eat your food to its source, the higher the benefits. So we have a lot of that happening, which is, we love seeing that happen here.
Oh, I'm sure. And I wound up interviewing the Rick House Brewery, and he even
Yes,
he even utilizes the crazy water in one of their
yes,
beers, the Flying Pig Pale
right.
Ale. So that was just
Yep.
interesting to see how different venues in the city are incorporating
Yeah.
the water into it. So,
Yeah,
okay,
our
well,
our Magpie Inn, sorry, our Magpie Inn is a bed and breakfast, and she's a chef. And anytime that she cooks, if it calls for water, she's cooking with crazy water.
oh, that's great. But speaking of lodging, so the Baker Hotel, is there a projection for when that might be open?
They're looking at 2026 supply
Okay.
chain, and that has just been
Oh,
nuts. But yeah,
okay. And then there's the Crazy Water Hotel. And what are
right.
what are some other options?
Yeah, so and I just mentioned Magpie Inn. If you're
Yes.
bringing a small group, they have 5 rooms.
Hmm.
So and they've got crazy water in every room, and she locally sources not just food, but anything that she can locally source, she's locally sourcing, which is great. We've got Rest Yourself River Ranch, which has 28 rooms or suites, and it's an exclusive experience out there. They're in nature. They're right on the Brazos River. You can take the whole family and rent the entire facility. It's an amazing spot, and you could actually do a completely self-contained retreat out there if you wanted to.
Oh,
And then for those who are naturalists,
hmm.
obviously a camping retreat out at Lake Mineral State Park is a great option. They've got a group hall that's surrounded by screen shelters, or you can bring your tents out, and so you could do a whole naturalist retreat out there.
Many thanks to Rose for a delightful look at Mineral Wells, the wellness capital of Texas. In the next episode of Global Journeys with Jill Dutton, join us as we journey to the mesmerizing shores of Baja California to explore the hidden gem of Laredo, Mexico. Our special guest, the charismatic and adventurous local resident, Jose Flores, takes us on an extraordinary expedition through the enchanting town he calls home. Get ready for an insider's look at this captivating destination as Jesus unveils Laredo's best-kept secrets and shares the unique charm that sets it apart from any other coastal town. We'll uncover the lesser-known spots that hold the essence of local culture and showcase the warm hospitality of the community. From sun-kissed mornings at the vibrant local markets to tranquil afternoons spent wandering through historic streets lined with colonial architecture, we'll immerse ourselves in the true essence of Laredo's laid-back lifestyle. So buckle up and prepare to be submerged in the beauty of Baja California's Laredo. Don't miss this exciting episode filled with insider's tips, underwater wonders, thrilling tales, and the enchanting allure of this coastal paradise. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Global Journeys with Jill Dutton. Until next time, may your travels be filled with endless curiosity, open-hearted encounters, and transformative adventure. Safe travels, fellow explorers, and keep wandering.